YouTube. So I think we're live on YouTube and I think we're live on Instagram. So good morning and thank you for connecting. And hopefully I can help a little with some vocabulary today. I'll continue day by day, little by little, to try and help with some vocabulary and some expressions related to different topics. And today we're going to look at weather and an article in relation to different weather. And it's from the BBC, so it's a very good source, it's a very good website and very good vocabulary in relation to the topic. So I'll just stop my camera, and the most important part today is the connection. I really hope everything will be okay. The camera was a little better yesterday, and obviously I had the problem with the microphone yesterday, but we'll continue. And little by little, we'll try to improve the vocabulary. So today's topic is weather, and I will try to identify the specific vocabulary that maybe is difficult, that maybe is important. I will keep in mind basic vocabulary, intermediate vocabulary, and advanced vocabulary. So that's the plan. I hope the angle on Instagram was okay. I think you can see me okay. And yeah, so the focus is vocabulary. So let's go. So I'll just select my pen and I'll choose the color green. And in the title, there is nothing really difficult in the title. I suppose the preposition over is more grammatical. It's not specifically vocabulary, it's more grammatical. And the significance is maybe during, for example, over the week, over the year. The significance here is during or throughout, and that's probably the most interesting part of that title. Okay, so I'll continue to the first paragraph. The picture here you can see is obviously a storm and two people outside in the storm. So very dramatic picture, incredible picture, but I'll just focus on the vocabulary for the next section. Okay, so again, I'll select my pen and I'll try to focus on the key here. Okay, so to hit, very general, very intermediate, the verb to hit, but we use hit a lot in English, many situations. And here with the weather or the storm hits, that's the connection with the weather. When the storm hits, it's like the start or the impact of the storm. And that's really the key in that sentence there. This expression, five-fold, is very important. So the number has increased five-fold. So the verb to fold is typically with clothes. You fold the clothes, fold your arms. But if you say two-fold, three-fold, four-fold, five-fold, the significance is multiplication. So five-fold has the significance 5 times in relation to multiplication. It's a very fluent expression. It's very, very good. And I'll just show you here in the notes as well. So you can say five-fold, you can say two-fold, and you can say many situations. So five-fold has the significance by 5. Okay, very simple, but very important as well. Remember, fold, you can say the company folded, and the significance is the company collapsed. Okay, so if the company folds, the significance is the company collapses. It's bankrupt. Also in poker, in cards, when you fold, you quit. So you stop because your cards are very bad, so you fold. So it is interesting and it's used in different situations. So there's the 3 or 4 situations with fold. We continue to the next section, very intermediate, very basic. The vocabulary here, debts. So always the TH in English is like the death. In Ireland, or in my case, sometimes I just say debt. For example, Thursday, this, that is correct. But for my case, sometimes I say Thursday, this. So the TH in English is very important. And in this case, it's the same, debts. But the key with this word is the difference between the adjective and the noun. So the noun is the death and the adjective is dead. So that's the mistake a lot of people make. You need to be clear that the adjective is dead and the noun is the death, okay? And the verb is to die. It's a very intermediate comment. It's a very basic comment, but it is very important. The verb to die, the adjective is dead, and the noun is death. Okay, so just important little detail always. So we continue. And the vocabulary that we have here, very important in relation to weather, the droughts, the floods, and sharply. Okay, so very interesting vocabulary. The first one is a flood, when you have a lot of water and the street is flooded. That's very negative and it's bad. You have a lot of water and the street is flooded. If it starts to rain a lot and the room is flooded, there is a lot of water in the room. It's flexible. We use flood in English for different situations. For example, I receive a lot of emails. I receive a lot of phone calls. Too much. I am flooded with emails. I am flooded with phone calls. So flood, it's related to the weather, but it's very typically used in other situations as well. When you have a lot, probably too much of one thing. Okay, drought is also very important as well. A drought is when there is no water. So it's the opposite. If you have a flood, you have a lot of water. If you have no water, no rain, it's a drought. The pronunciation is important because the GHT, the G is almost silent. So we say drought. Okay, so it's a silent G, and very important significance when there is no water, no rain. Again, we use this in lots of different situations. For example, in sport, if you do not score a goal for a long time, you have a drought. So if you have no success for a long time, you have a drought. When there is nothing available, it's a drought. So it's very flexible, used in lots of situations in English, but originally it's related to the weather when there is no rain. Okay. Again, fall is just very general. And here it's the adverb, but the significance is sharp, the adjective sharp. For example, the knife is very sharp. The nail is very sharp. And we use it in relation to time. If you are very sharp, it means very quick and very punctual. Okay. So if it falls sharply, it's very dramatic decrease, very, very dramatic decrease. Sharp is very probably advanced, but it's very frequent. And to dress, if you go to the party, you can dress sharp, and the significance is you dress very elegant, very smart, very professional. You look very sharp. You look very fantastic. Okay, dress sharp. In relation to time, it's necessary and possible to say 10 a.m. sharp, and the significance is 10 a.m. exactly, punctual. Okay, so 10 a.m. sharp is very typical as well. In relation to the brain or your mind, if you are very active and you remember, you have a good memory and you're very quick, you're very sharp, and the significance is you're very mentally quick. Okay, mentally sharp, maybe intelligent. So really good vocabulary, really important word. And here it's connected with fall sharply, and the significance is to fall very dramatically and very quickly. Okay, so scientists is intermediate, but it's incredibly important because of the difference between the subject. In school, you study science, but the person is the scientist. So the suffix and the pronunciation is very, very important. Science in school, scientist is the person, and the adjective is scientific. So you need to be very clear with the three different forms of the word. Okay. Behind the rise is a very fluent expression and very, very good, because the verb is to rise and the significance is to increase. But if something is behind the rise, it's the explanation for the rise. What is behind the problem? what is behind the situation. So what is the reason? What is the cause of the problem? So what is behind the problem? In second situation with behind, it's related to support. If I am behind you, the significance is I support you. So it's very simple preposition behind, but it's very important as well. Very important. Okay, and remember the difference between rise and raise. This is very intermediate, but it is very important. There's a massive difference between rise and raise. The pronunciation is different. You can see the spelling is different. The first significant rise is typical with the price, the temperature, the number. Okay, the number rises, the temperature rises, the price rise. But the second verb to raise is when the person is the subject. The person does the action. So I raise my hand, I raise a question, I raise a child. Okay, so very, very interesting difference. Also in the company, you can receive a raise, and the significance is more money. So in a company, if you receive a raise, you receive more money. But if you have, or if you obtain, or you get a rise, that's in position. So it's a very interesting difference, and very important, the context and the use between rise and raise. And again, I have an itchy nose. Every morning I have an itchy nose. Okay. And then the next sentence is no problem as well. So there's nothing difficult in the next sentence, and we'll just continue. I'll clear the text and I'll continue to the next section. Uptick. Okay, this is a very advanced expression here. Uptick in the number of disasters, and nothing more. So those two paragraphs are very basic, very general. There's one expression in this text. It's called the uptick. Everybody knows TikTok, and TikTok is probably related to the time. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. So this is the same concept, because if you have an uptick, it means an increase, but very small, consistent, very small. For example, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. But uptick is tick, 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 tick. It's an increase, very small, but very consistent. And here it's exactly the same. It's a significant uptick in the number of disasters. So it's a significant increase, and consistent and steady. Very fluent vocabulary, very good vocabulary, and very, very interesting. So in this sentence, a significant uptick in the number, it has the significance, it's an important increase in the number. So really good vocabulary. Most people understand increase, but this is a little more advanced and definitely more impressive when you use it correctly. The second paragraph, okay, we have one word here that's more interesting, and it is charts. Chart is related to the music. So if you have the charts, it's number 1, number 2, number 3. The classification of the music are the charts. Also, when you measure, like the earthquake or a storm, you have the chart, and it measures the numbers or the statistics for the storm. So that's the chart. We have the expression in English, off the charts. If something is off the charts, the significance is it's incredible, it's excessive. For example, the views on TikTok, if your views on TikToks are off the charts, the significance is your views are incredible, really high number of views. So it's a very good expression, off the charts. It means extremely high. Okay, something is off the charts. So it is a verb. Also, to chart your way is related to navigation. Imagine the sailor, imagine the ship, or the pilot today, the airplane pilot. It's necessary to chart the way So he needs to design, he needs to record the way. That's the significance, to chart your way. So it is a verb, and it is a noun, and it is an expression as well off the charts. They're two very simple explanations and two important words from the two paragraphs. But we continue. The next picture you can see in Bangladesh, and they have flooding. So this is a perfect example of flooding. It's when the water is excessive and it comes down, you have a lot of flooding. And remember, the opposite is the drought. So if you have no rain, it's a drought. But if you have a lot of rain, it's the opposite, it's a flood. In this picture, we have a very important word at the bottom. Taken is from the verb to take, participle, take, took, taken. Huge has a significance, enormous, very, very big. But this word, atoll, is very fluent and very typical. The best example is on the road. You're driving and you are on the motorway, and suddenly it's necessary to pay €2 to pass. So you have to pay €2. This payment is a toll. So it's a payment. So that's the context. But for example, if the flooding takes a toll on you, you lose something. It's something you have to pay, not money, but it's more energy, it's more motivation, it's more morale, your sense. So if it takes a toll, it costs you something, not money, but it costs you energy, it costs you emotion. It's a very famous expression. It takes its toll, or it takes a toll. So really, really important vocabulary, really fluent. Also, we say toll bridge, which is the bridge where it's necessary to pay the money for you to pass. So that's a very interesting expression here. And I'll just clear this text again, and we continue to the next section. Okay, so again, the first paragraph, not too difficult. Amounting. So an amount is a substantive, the quantity, the number, but it is a verb as well, to amount. It's like add or calculate. Losses is probably intermediate, because you need to be very clear. The verb is to lose, L-O-S-E, you lose. The past is lost, L-O-S-T, and the noun is a loss, L-O-S-S. So it's general, it's intermediate, but similar to die, dead, death, you need to be very clear that lose is the verb, lost is the past, and loss is the noun. They sound very similar, but I'm just going to write here to lose. Lost is the past, and a loss is the noun. Okay, so very, very interesting. Loss, lost, and to lose. But there's another verb that looks similar, but it's completely different. The verb is to loosen, and the adjective is loose. And this is related typically to clothes. If your shirt is loose, it's this, but if it's the opposite, it's tight. So the verb is to loosen. Interesting vocabulary. Okay, so that's important. In the next paragraph, I will just look at nothing difficult in the next paragraph. I want to sneeze. No. Excuse me. No. No, almost. Okay. Okay, so the next paragraph, there's nothing too difficult. Just a linker, which is very general. As a result of is a linker, and just very general. As a consequence of, as a result of. And here's very good vocabulary in the next section. A heat wave, a drought, and forest fires. There's three very specific vocabulary for weather. The first one is a heat wave. Remember, wave is this action, and if you have the heat wave, it's very hot. And again, you need to be very clear the difference between hot and heat. Hot is the adjective, the temperature, the room is very, very hot. Adjective, heat is the noun. The heat in the room is very high, but the adjective is very hot. and there is a verb also to heat. So the radiator heats the room is very hot, and the heat in the room is great. So it's again like die, dead, death, lose, lost, lost. And we also have heat, hot, heat. Okay, so that's just a detail in English that's very important, and I'll just write it here so we can see. I hope my battery is okay on Instagram. I hope you can still follow me. To heat, the adjective is hot, and the noun is the heat. Okay, so the verb is to heat, the adjective is hot, and the substantive is heat as well, the heat. Okay, drought, again, if you have a drought, there is no rain, it's very dry, no rain, it's a drought. Okay, forest fire is very general. In the forest in Spain, you have a lot of forest fires. In Brazil, in the Amazon, I think there's a lot of forest fires. In Greece, there are a lot of forest fires. So very specific vocabulary for the weather. And here's a difficult word, I suppose, exasperating. Exasperating is making the situation worse. If you exasperate the situation, very advanced, you make the situation worse, to exasperate the situation. Okay, adjective here is deadly. If something is deadly, it relates to the death. So it's an adjective, it's a deadly liquid, it's a deadly animal. So the animal or the liquid can cause death, okay, because it's deadly, it's the adjective. And that's it. Nothing difficult in that section. So this is an interesting article, probably very, very intermediate and very, very intermediate, but one or two advanced expressions. So normally the vocabulary and the text on the BBC is very, very clear, very easy to understand, and very, very simple. But sometimes they also have very good vocabulary. Okay, so I'm just going to check the telephone to check that Instagram is still working. No. I'm back. I think I'm back. Let me check 1 second. Yeah, I'm back. Okay, so sorry about that. Perfect, because the battery is very low and my connection with the cable is not very good. So that's the reason on the phone, when your connection is very low, that it gives you a warning. And when you have the warning, it cancels the stream. So we're back on Instagram. Sorry about that. And we'll continue with the text on YouTube as well. So hopefully you can connect on YouTube. Anyway, if you lose the connection on Instagram, you can follow on YouTube, no problem. Okay, again, that's the vocabulary in that paragraph, not too difficult. And we just continue to the next section. So nothing difficult here, again, very clear. And I think this type of article is related to statistics, it's related to information. And for this reason, it's very clear and very easy to understand, because yesterday we had the article in relation to the review. And remember, the article in relation to a movie review, a review of a book, the vocabulary is necessary, very colorful. But today it's very general because it's more factual, it's more statistical, and that's really important as well. So again, in the next two paragraphs, there's nothing really difficult. It's very general, very basic, maximum intermediate, but I would say very basic vocabulary in the next two paragraphs. And we'll continue because I want to focus on the difficult vocabulary. And here we can see statistics, we can see numbers, we can see a graph. So I'll continue after past the graph and the statistics. And the next section, again, we have very important vocabulary, a toll. So you remember the toll you need to pay, and the expression is it takes a toll on you, and that means an emotional payment. So if something takes its toll, you have to pay, but not money, it's more emotional. And here, the death toll is the number of people that die. Okay, so that's the death toll. And again, here we have fell. This is the past. The verb is to fall. The past is irregular, fell, and the adverb is rapidly. The significance is very, very quickly. Again, sharply, if you remember. Okay, remember the expression behind the numbers, behind the problem. Behind is the cause or the explanation. So behind the problem is this. So this is the explanation for the problem. But in this situation, it's behind the statistics. So the explanation for the statistics is the significance of this expression. Stark. I think yesterday we saw this word stark, and the significance is very dramatic. So if I say to you, the change in the weather is very stark, the significance is the change is very dramatic. It's very general vocabulary. You can use it in lots of situations. And that's really the meaning as well. And I'm just checking YouTube. So I think we're live on YouTube. Oh, I hope that we've no real problem on YouTube. I think, yeah, we're working okay, that's fine. After the statistics. I was just and the next double checking. Section, I need to put it on mute. We have very okay. Technology, still managing everything. Okay, the next section, warning system, is important. So a warning is related to the verb to warn. It's like to alert, and the noun is a warning. So the verb is to warn, and the noun is a warning. So if you look at a product, if you look at any product, you have a warning, but the verb is to warn. Led to, so this is very important vocabulary, led to. Okay, remember it's from the verb to lead. So if you lead the group like the leader, so for example, smoking cigarettes leads to health problems. Okay, so smoking cigarettes leads to the problem. That's the concept. It's very important. Structure leads to. Exercising leads to good health. Okay, but the past is irregular, led to. So the past is led, and that's very, very important. And here, it's just a very good example of very, very comfortable English. Okay. The next expression is in the face of. So probably in other languages, this is the same. In the face of a difficult situation, in the face of a difficult moment. The significance is when you are confronted by a difficult moment, when you are facing a problem. And again, it's just very fluent, very general. You can use it in lots of situations. Again, economic toll. So if you have an economic toll, this is the economic price that you have to pay. Okay. And the next verb is to mount. To mount is to increase. So if the toll has increased. Okay. The next sentence is a perfect example of the verb to lose, lost, and a loss. So here it's a loss in the substantive, in the plural. Around has the significance approximately. I will meet you at around 6 o'clock, approximately 6 o'clock per day. Again, another good example, sevenfold. So if something increases sevenfold, the significance is it multiplies 7 times. Okay, so that's a little better vocabulary and a little good explanation. And I'll just continue to the next section as well. And let me check the phone just to make sure we're still connected. Yeah, I think we're still live. So I know we lost you a few minutes ago for the Instagram because of the battery, but we're continuing on YouTube anyway. So we'll continue to the next section. Again, weather. That's the topic. Here you can see another flood in the picture, and it's like It's in Texas. Okay, so again, the vocabulary in the picture is hit. So that's in relation to a storm. Hit badly. And the verb to be, that's just a little example of the passive. You need to remember the structure, the active and the passive. Today is vocabulary, but this is just a little comment about the grammar, the active and the passive, because Texas is the active, but Texas was hit by the storm. That struck the active and the passive, and it's very important and very, very interesting. So here's an example. Another adjective is costly. If you have a costly day, a costly year, the significance is you have to pay a lot of money. It was an expensive year. A costly holiday, a costly trip. It means it was an expensive holiday, an expensive trip. For example, the pandemic, the 2 years were costly years. They were very expensive for a lot of people because they lost a lot of money. Okay, so we'll continue to this section, and I'm just changing my pen. This section, I'm going to focus on the vocabulary again. Accounted for, not difficult. Losses, again, from the verb to lose, lost, loss. Point out is a phrasal verb. So if you point out, you say something. I want to point out in this article. I want to identify. I want to focus on something in this article. That's the phrasal verb, to point out. During meeting, during the explanation, you want to point out something. You want to identify. You want to explain something. Okay. And again, nothing difficult here. There's a good there is a lot of work, much more work, again, to be done. So that structure is the passive. Again, we need to do a lot of work, but a lot of work needs to be done. It's just a little example of the active and the passive as well. And that's it. Nothing difficult in that paragraph as well. So it's a very intermediate article, 1 or 2 important expressions for advanced level. But in general, this article is very intermediate and not too difficult. The next word here is the aftermath. This is a very advanced word. Aftermath, yes, you can see after. So this is a very advanced situation. The aftermath is the period of time after the problem or the meeting. So you have a meeting, a very serious meeting, and the aftermath of the meeting is the period after the meeting, the consequences. They are the aftermath, okay? And that is very, very important for sure. The next sentence, we have huge gaps. That's very important as well. Just a pronunciation here, island. So the S is silent and we say island. So just a pronunciation is very important here. So island and the S is silent. Okay, preposition among, the significance is with. If you are among your friends, you are with your friends. Okay, and a gap is very important. A gap is a space. You can have a gap in your career. For example, this year you study, this year you are free, the next year you study. So this free year, it's a gap. Very important vocabulary and used in other situations. Okay, simple here, thanks to. So more lives, and remember, 1 life is singular, but 2 lives is plural, and the verb is to live. So the pronunciation is very, very different. 1 life, 2 lives, and the verb to live. Okay, so very important explanation. And disaster risk, not too difficult. Due to is very important. Due to has the significant because of. So the party cancelled due to the pandemic. The holiday is cancelled due to the football match. So because of, okay? Remember, due is very, very important in English. the significance is expected. For example, the bus is due in 10 minutes. The significance is the bus is expected in 10 minutes. In relation to pregnancy, the woman is maybe, the woman is due in, the lady or the woman is expecting to have the baby in January. So she is due in January. The baby is due in January. So the baby is expected to arrive in January. Okay. Overdue is when you are waiting a long time. So you are overdue a holiday. You are overdue a change. So it was expected a long time and now it's overdue. Okay. And that's it. And again, in the next section, we can see chronic, which I think is similar in other languages. Chronic problem. I think it's similar in Latin languages. If it's a chronic problem, it's a very serious problem that persists, that continues. To tackle is very important. To tackle related, it's this action, bang, you have the ball and the other player tackles the player. So that's important. But we use this in other situations. If you have a social problem, the authority needs to tackle the problem. They need to face, confront, to tackle the problem. More advanced vocabulary to tackle and very important to remember. Okay, huge, very, very big, huge numbers, very, very big numbers. Okay, displaced is important. You can see placed, but if you are displaced, you have to move your location. You have to change your location because you're in a new place. So it's a problem because of the storm, because of the war. You are displaced. You have to move. Okay, and again, remember, drought is related to no rain. Okay, I'll do one or two more and we'll continue a little. And actually, it still has power, so perfect. So we need greater investment in comprehensive risk management. This word ensuring, yesterday, we explained the difference between assure, insure, ensure. Okay, so to insure with I for Ireland, IN, insure is related to the car, the house, the life. You pay the money because if you have a problem, you are protected. That's car insurance, house insurance. This word in the text is ensure, and the significance is to make certain. So when you leave the house, ensure the door is locked. Make certain the door is locked. And the third example is assure, which is to guarantee or to promise. So I assure you, I guarantee you. Oh, excuse me. Another sneeze. Okay, so that's the three words that are very important. Insure, assure, and insure. So they sound very similar. And that's it. So very, very good. Again, I hope the connection was okay. YouTube with Zoom and YouTube. Yesterday, it was a little better, and hopefully today it's improving and it's better. I hope, because it's very important. Instagram, it's a little easier because it's just better for the connection. And again, I think today we lost you for a minute, but I think you are still here. I cannot, yeah, I have to check because my screen is, I'm looking at the back of my telephone. So we're connected on Instagram, we're connected on YouTube. I hope the Wi-Fi and the internet was okay. And when possible, we'll try to give the classes online in the morning. We have other classes. So tonight we have an intermediate class at 8 p.m. in Madrid time. And we have a very good teacher, and it's not me, it's another teacher. We have a teacher at 8 o'clock tonight, and it's for intermediate, a class of 3. And at the moment there is a space available for one more. So if you want to join, you can contact me, and it's tonight at 8 o'clock. We have another class on Tuesday for the advanced. So that's the advanced exam on Tuesday at 5:30 Ireland time. And we have space for 2 people. So we've lots of other classes as well. If you want the form and create a class you can join. We have a WhatsApp group to find others as well to create a class. TikTok, I'm creating TikToks to give vocabulary, to give advice, and Instagram Reels. I'm creating content, and that's it. Again, everything is free. If you want to leave a little tip or a little donation, you are welcome, and I will just give you the information here. If you want a little tip, I'll just try and find the document. It's possible with Bizoom, with Balut, etc. But no problem. But I think my computer is a little slow. Great. Okay, so thank you very much. Have a great day, and hopefully talk to you soon. And thank you for watching, and hopefully see you tomorrow or on one of the